Hi everybody, what a week to be a Beatles fan, eh? We've been really spoiled, haven't we? We've had a mini documentary, we've had the song previewed, we've had a video, we've had the release of the single. What have you lot had out there? I know you've probably all seen quite a few videos so far on this topic of the Beatles Now and Then. So I thought I'm going to do my thoughts on it. I'm doing my thoughts on the whole lot what's happened this week. So mine might be a little bit different to what some other people have done. First off, I watched the mini documentary that goes on for about 12 minutes, which was released a few days ago. I actually watched it the day after because I was at work. I actually thought that was amazing. I really did think that was amazing. I've watched it a couple of times now, and I do think it's strange in one way, it's very moving in another way. It's fantastic what Paul and Mingo have done to the recordings that they did with George in 1995, and how they've cleared John's tape up of him on the piano. I still can't actually realise, get it into my head how they've done that. I'm not going to say too much in case you haven't seen it, but I should imagine most of you have seen it. The bit that got me in the documentary was when they played John's vocal just after they'd demixed it, so it wasn't lost in with the piano, and it was just his voice, and it gave me goose pimples and shivers to hear John's voice like he was in the room next to you. So that was a highlight for me. I think Paul McCartney came over very good in it. I know some people have criticised, you're always going to get this, aren't you? If you're doing something that's to do with the Beatles, and two of them are no longer with us, the two that are trying to make something of it have come in for a little bit of criticism. Somebody says it's Paul trying to make a Beatles track into a Paul McCartney song. I don't think it is. I think Paul and Mingo have got together and have thought, if we don't do this now, it's never ever going to get released. I mean, let's face it, they're both in the 80s now, aren't they? So, give Paul and Mingo credit, and give George credit for when he was still alive and he did work on it, in the 90s, and obviously give John the credit for writing the song. But yeah, so the mini documentary is very interesting. Brought like tears to my eyes and a lump to my throat in places. Then we had the radio release of the song, didn't we? It was released on the radio. So I didn't actually hear that on the radio, but I've streamed it off YouTube, which is a bit naughty, I suppose, in one way, isn't it? Then we had the release of the official video. Now, the official video to me is a masterpiece. I think Peter Jackson's either done it or has got a hell of a lot to do with it, hasn't he? And it's, yes, Paul's featured in it a lot, Ringo's featured in it a lot, but they don't forget John and George. They are featured in it as well. There is a lovely part in the video where George is in 1995 playing his guitar, and then George from 1968 suddenly appears, or 1967 suddenly appears playing the guitar. Then there's a bit where Ringo's on his drums, like as of this year or last year, and then all of a sudden Ringo from 1968 or 67 is playing along with him. John's featured quite a bit in this as well. From what I can make out, John and George, a lot of their footage is from Hello Goodbye video, but they have done it so it actually looks at one point like they're all together. You've got, if I remember rightly, you've got George one side, then you've got Ringo, then you've got Paul, and then you've got John. And it does actually look like George and John are interacting with the other two. So I think that is a little masterpiece in itself. So, I think we have been really spoiled. We've had all this, and we've still got the remixed Red and Blue albums to come, haven't we? I ordered the single from thebeatles.com, and I was hoping it would have been here for yesterday, but it's actually come today. So bear with us. This is it. This is how it's come. I have opened it, but I haven't played it. But like I say, I've played it a few times like listening to it on the radio. Radio 2's been playing it quite a bit, and I've, listened and seen the video on YouTube a couple of times, so I do know what this is like. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that is absolutely rubbish cover. I do honestly think that is one of the poorest covers for any Beatles product I've ever seen. There might be some sort of meaning to it, but I don't know if I'm being stupid. I just can't see it. I think that is very, very plain, and I think of all the hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of photos of the Beatles, whether it be a montage or proper photos of their career, they could have done a cover slightly better than that. It is what it is, don't get me wrong, and you don't play the cover, do you? The back of the cover I do actually think is okay. I think that probably should have been, if they weren't going to use a proper photo, I think that should have been the proper cover. And on this you get Now and Then, the last Beatles song apparently, and then you've got Love Me Do, which was the first Beatles song. So it is like making the Beatles going full circle, isn't it? You've got from the beginning to the end sort of thing. Now and Then I've got mixed feelings about, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, I love the song. I do love the song. I'm trying not to listen to the criticism. People are saying it's not a Beatles song. Well, if John Lennon's on it, Paul McCartney's on it, George Harrison's on it, and Ringo Starr's on it, then what is it? It's a Beatles song, isn't it? All four Beatles are on it. Yes, they might not have all been in the room at the same time, or in the same room at the same time, but if you've got four people in it that was in the Beatles, then it's a Beatles song, isn't it? Some people, like I've said before, try and say, oh, it's just Paul going on an ego trip to try and make himself look good. I don't think it is. I actually think Paul has done this as a tribute to George and John. I think that's the idea behind it, and I actually think this is a goodbye. I think this single is like a goodbye from the Beatles. I don't think we will ever get another Beatles single. You might get something off an album, don't get me wrong, like a remix version of something, but I don't think Paul and Ringo will ever work on another Beatles track again. And I'm not being morbid when I say this, but they're not going to be here forever, are they? So I think they've done this now while they can do it, and they've done it. I think they've done justice to this. I think every one of the Beatles shines on this. I think George's guitar playing is brilliant. I think Ringo's drumming is fantastic. I think what they've done with John's voice is amazing. And I think Paul, give him his dues. He has finished this, hasn't he? He always did say, didn't he, one day he wanted to finish this, and that one day has now come. The other bit of criticism, which I don't really think is criticism, which I've seen on a couple of videos, is Paul has done a bit of guitar work on this, and he's done a slide guitar. Right, but if you actually watch the documentary, he says he's done the slide guitar as a tribute to George, which I do think he has. So, I haven't got no problem with that. It's a Beatles record. At the end of the day, this is the last Beatles record. Is it the best song the Beatles have ever done? Probably not. I'll be honest with you, probably not. I like it, don't get me wrong, I do like it. It's not the sort of song that you can get up and dance to, though, is it? It's not like I Feel Fine or She Loves You or something like that. But like I say, I think this is the Beatles saying goodbye. Properly saying goodbye to all the fans. When they split up in 1970, they didn't know how, originally it was just going to be a break for a couple of years, wasn't it? And they thought, the hope was they'd always get back. Then they did the few things in the 90s, didn't they? But I do actually think this is the Beatles saying goodbye and thank you to all their fans. I'm not saying we're not ever going to get releases again, but I think this is the last time we'll get something which is, you can technically call a new song or whatever. Where they've all worked on something new. Okay, we all know Now and Then has been around on bootleg for many, many years. When I watched the video for this, was it last night? Sue had already watched it when I came home from work, and I says, "Oh, if I watch it," and she goes, "Yeah." And at the end of it, I just went, "Wow." I didn't know what else to say. I just said, "Wow." It's a very, very haunting song, I think. Again, these are just my opinions. You might not agree. I'm just think that if you're a true Beatles fan, which I hope most of you are that are watching this, yes, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you've got to go out and buy this or whatever. But I think if you're a true Beatles fan, you will appreciate this for what it is, which is probably the last ever Beatles song. And why is it the last ever Beatles song? Because all 4 Beatles are on it. Yes, some of it's been overdubbed and things like that. I think John would have been quite proud of this. And if he's up there in heaven, I think he'll be like looking down and thinking, yeah, they've done that song justice. I think George would have been quite proud of this as well. Because the other thing is, well, George didn't like it, so why has it been released? I don't think George didn't like it. I think at the time they hadn't got the technology to do justice to it as they have now. Again, that's just my opinions on it. I love it. I do actually love this. And I do think it's nice that you've got the first ever Beatles song and the last ever Beatles song on it. I could be proved wrong. Next year they might say, well, we found another one that we're going to work on. But I think, and don't take this the wrong way, I think time is running out for new Beatles songs to be discovered, isn't it? Yes, there's unreleased stuff apparently in the vaults of EMI somewhere, but if they're on tape, they've probably deteriorated a hell of a lot. And I also think Pete Best should get a mention for this, not for the record, but for the video, because right near the end is a very, very early film of the Beatles dressed all in the black leather, like in the Hamburg days, in the early days of the Cavern Club. And apparently Pete Best has supplied that. So, you know, let's give Pete Best a shout out as well. Don't think he'll get any royalties or anything from it because he's not on it, you know, but it is nice that, you know, Pete is now, you know, part of Beatles history. Is not overlooked anymore, is he? I still think that should have been the main cover though. But then again, that reminds me like something Madness would do. You know, somebody says there's supposed to be a secret meaning in this. I keep looking at it and I can't really work out what it's supposed to mean. I don't think it really means anything, does it? Or is this like a message, like what did John used to say to all the people that used to look for things in the songs? Is it, you know, a nod of the head to that? Probably isn't, but you never know. Yeah, I love it. I hope it's going to be a hit. I really do hope it will be a hit. If you don't think it's the Beatles, you don't think it's the Beatles. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I love it. I can't remember being this excited about a Beatles release ever. Even when the anthology stuff came out, I can't remember being as excited about this. And I was excited about Free as a Bird and Real Love, you know. But I can't actually ever remember the anticipation of and all that lot for a Beatles release being as how it has been. Yes, I know it's slightly different because we've got the internet, we've got YouTube and things like that. Bit of a worst kept secret ever, wasn't it? Once Paul let it out of the bag that they'd been working on it. But we knew they'd been working. I mean, this should have been on Anthology 3, shouldn't it? And next week we'll get the remixed Red and Blue albums, don't we? I've ordered those as well from the Beatles.com. I ordered it from there because I didn't want to get scammed. That's why I ordered it from there. This is only black vinyl. Like I say, as soon as it was announced this was being released, virtually everything on the UK version of Beatles.com sold out. So you do get a little leaflet giving you some information. I don't know if you get this in America and other parts of the world. Then you get that on the other side. So I thought this was the words at first, but it's not. It's just the credits. And that is like a bit of background information on how this record came to be. And the nice thing about this is another thing where I think Apple, Universal Music, the Beatles, whatever you want to call it, have got it right, because Now and Then is on the Apple label, and then Love Me Do is on the original, how this would have been originally released in 1962, virtually anyway, the red and silver Parlophone label. Very, very similar. I won't say it's exactly the same. It's very, very similar. And apparently this is a stereo version of Love Me Do. Because I haven't had time to play this actual record yet. I've just come in. Sue goes, "Oh, your record's on there." So I thought I'd give it a quick look. I was listening to the song on YouTube as I unpacked it. But yeah, I do think that's nice. The only thing that I do think lets this down, and like I say, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world because you don't play the cover, do you? But I do think the cover lets it down. Again, that is just my opinions. You might not agree. You might think that's a fantastic cover. To me, that is very, very cheap looking. So I'll say that's okay. I like that one. Like I said, perhaps I should have done it the other way around and had that without that and that on it as like the main cover, and then done that on the back, and then put the credit things like they are there on that. It doesn't really matter, does it? In the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. We should be happy that Paul and Mingo and George in the 90s and John in the 70s have come up with this. It's took a hell of a long time for it to get released as a Beatles song, but it is as far as I'm concerned, this is a Beatles song. It will sit nicely in my collection. I mean, there is people that don't think that Real Love and Free as a Bird are proper Beatles songs, but if all the Beatles are on it, then it's a Beatles song, isn't it? I've said before, if you go into some of the albums, and some of the songs from the Beatles back catalogue, not all four Beatles are on them, were they? So I'd say this is a bona fide Beatles song. If you agree, you agree. If you don't. I'm just overwhelmed that that's finally seen the light of day. Hopefully it'll be a massive hit across the world, and you never know, it could be #1 for Christmas. Fingers crossed. You never know, do you? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? The Beatles #1 at Christmas in 2023. And at the end of the documentary, by the way, Paul does say something again which got me right here. He says he can't believe that in 2023 he's still working on Beatles material. So have they been working on something else? Is that a cryptic clue that there might be something else in the offing? I don't think it is. Paul has actually co-produced this with Giles Martin, hasn't he? Now and Then. Giles Martin also did a string arrangement for it, which is very reminiscent of what his dad would have done, to be honest. So yeah, I am very, very pleased with this. I hope you're all as pleased as what I am with it. And as they say in England, pleased as punch about this. Don't really know what that saying means, but yeah, pleased as punch that this has finally seen the light of day. If you haven't got it, try and get it. Don't go to these people on certain selling sites that, I mean, this was, I think, £17, something like that. I'll tell you because I've even got an invoice with this. I'm not going to show you because it's got my name and address and stuff on it. But yeah, so that was £14.99. That was, which for see, is that a lot for single? I don't know, because can you still go out and buy singles? I don't know. £14.99. The coloured ones were £17.99, I think. Now there's certain people on certain selling sites, eBay, who is selling the coloured singles for like £50 and £60. Is that right? I don't think it is. I don't think it's right. I do understand, some of them might be shops and things like that, but I think this should have been one per person. That's just my opinions. Then it probably wouldn't have been quite as expensive. And then if you wanted a coloured vinyl, I'm not bothered about coloured vinyl on this. I really am not. The majority, I'd say 99.9% of my Beatles singles are on black vinyl. And when the Beatles were recording in the 1960s, it all came out on black vinyl, didn't it? So that's my thoughts on it. Overall, I think it's absolutely wonderful and amazing. And I think everybody involved with this, the people that have engineered it, the people that have played on the strings, arrangements and things like that. Obviously, Paul and Mingo. Mingo even gets to sing on this one as well. And you do actually see him singing with Paul. because that always used to be the big joke with Ingo, didn't it? It's, well, I won't be able to sing. Well, he does on this one. He does sing, and again, he does a fantastic job. He looks quite good actually for his age. Ringo, he actually looks younger than Paul, I think. I don't know if he's dyeing his hair or not, but it looks, it does look well. When I say fit, it looks well. It doesn't look like somebody who's 83. Again, Paul is in his 80s now as well. So, hats off to him. That I think they've done justice to this song. In my opinion, anyway, they have done justice to the song, and I think it is worthy of having that on it. The Beatles' name. And it is a Beatles song. It's a Beatles recording, isn't it? And that's going to be it, folks. If you agree with me, or if you don't agree with me, if you want to leave me a comment, please do. I know not everybody is over the moon about this. Like I said, any slight criticism I've got about it is this cover. I think the cover is crap. And that is my honest opinion. I think this cover is crap. I think it's cheap looking and tacky. That side's not. I think that would have made a better cover than that. But you don't play the cover, and at the end of the day, it's the song that we were interested in, isn't it? It's the songs on here, especially Now and Then. Love Me Do. I don't know what that sounds like. I haven't played it because I think that is I don't know if that's the original version or it's a 2023 remix. Which I've got a feeling it could be the 2023 remix on that. So is that the Beatles? You can take this while it's not the Beatles. If something keeps getting remixed and remixed and remixed, is it still the same as what the Beatles wanted you to hear in the first place? I'm looking forward to hearing the remixed versions. Oh, excuse me, of the Red and the Blue albums. But I still don't think they'll be as good as the original ones. That's just in my opinion again. You don't have to agree. So, cheers to Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, George Harrison and John Lennon for giving us this final little Beatles gift. And it is a gift. I know you have to pay for it, but it's a gift because after 1990 we would never have thought we would ever get a new Beatles single. Or even after 1970. I mean, technically, the last Beatles recording, if you want to be a perfectionist, was I, Me, Mine, wasn't it? And even John went on that, so at least all four of them are on this. I think it's absolutely amazing, I really do. And John's voice is very, very haunting on this. And so that's why I think it is the Beatles saying goodbye to us all. Might be not. I might have got that completely wrong. I don't know. It just seems like it's a goodbye song. Thank you, everybody. This is it, sort of thing. And what a way to go out. So let's get it to number one. Yeah, let's try and get this to number one. Especially in the UK. And that's going to be it. So whatever you're doing, I hope you're safe and I hope you're well and dandy. Like I say, this is just my thoughts on the whole Now and Then experience so far. I'm glad it's here at long last. I'm glad that the rumours have stopped now and we do know what it is. And it looks like the original rumours were actually true. The original rumours, I'm not about this Pixel Disney cartoon movie thing. So whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Remember, you're the Beaten Beatle Dave. Thank you very much for watching my video. I bet you're bored out your head of videos now about Now and Then, aren't you? But I thought I'd got to do my little video for it because I'm like everybody else. I've been waiting for this since it was released and I'm very, very happy with it. I'm really, really happy with it. And I hope you're happy with it too. So it's love from me to you. And I will see you all very, very soon. And that's going to be it. So peace and love, everybody. Peace and love. And remember, go out and buy it. Let's make this number one. Bye.